Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. I am sharing some cards I made using Queen & Company's Space Shaped Shaker Kit. It is so cute and perfect for cards year-round. The kit does not include a paper pad or toppings, so those will need to be purchased separately. But then you can always customize the cards to what color or pattern you want. So starting with card number 1, I used a sketch from Operation Right Home. This is number 203. For the pattern papers, this is from Queen & Company, and it is the Picture Perfect 6x6 paper pad. The colors in this paper collection are a little on the softer side, but they include greens and blues and pinks and oranges, so it has a nice variety of different colors. For my card, I'm using just a silver pearlescent paper for the background, and then I selected 3 of the pattern papers for these banners that go on the back. I did include some cardstock, and this is just from my stash because I always like to add matted layers to all of my cards. So for the scallop circle and then this stitch circle, this is actually part of the foundation dies by Queen & Company. So these are great sets that have all kinds of different pieces to easily build your card design. So this card I'm going to use the little spaceship. I'm going to make a shaker card, and I pulled out some of the Pops toppings, and I'm just going to fill it with some green and some of the blue. So I always put the foam piece down first, put the toppings in, and then seal it all up with that cut acetate piece. And then I just used that same blue cardstock to cut out the little frame of the rocket. And then just to make sure it stays in place, I always use my acrylic stamp block to just hold that on while the glue dries. And I'm just going to stamp my sentiment. This is, "I hope your birthday is a blast." And the little stitch tag is another part of the foundation dies. So there are 2 different foundation die sets, and they're definitely a good stash builder to have. Lots of different sizes just for sentiments or just to build the design of your card. So I'm still going to go ahead and layer that, so I just added it on some more of that blue cardstock. And then I'm just going to pop it up with some foam dimensional tape. And then just to do a little bit of embellishments, I'm using some of the iridescent bubbles. These are the green. And then I'm also going to use some of these stars, and this is again from that foundation die set. And I cut those stars out of the new self-adhesive foam. So this actually has some glitter on it. And this might not be quite available yet, but it is coming soon. So that is my first card. So now moving on to card number 2. So this sketch is again from Operation Right Home. It's number 177, and I did turn it vertically instead of horizontally the way it was designed. The pattern paper is from Queen & Company's Picture Perfect again. So this time I'm adding some more color to it. One of the nice things about using 6x6 paper pads for making cards is generally all of the patterns in that paper pad coordinate well together. So for this card I used a pink cardstock for the background, and then this rectangle with that scalloped rectangle is another part of the foundation dies, along with that large banner in the background. So this card, I'm going to use this shooting star. I just love this die. It's so cute. So I'm keeping this white paper as the background so that you'll really be able to see all those toppings that I'm putting in there. And for this card, I used some of the yellow jelly gems. So they have a little bit of a sparkle to them. And then I'm just going to add some adhesive and adhere that die cut on top, again holding it in place. And then I cut out one of the little banners, and these fit the stamp sentiments just perfectly. So this one is "You're a Star." And then since I do like to add my layers, I'm just going to use some more of this pink cardstock to mat that. And then I'll just pop that up just slightly with some of the foam dimensional tape. And the regular foam dimensional tape isn't quite as thick as the foam tape for the shaker cards. And then just a couple little finishing touches. I added a little banner in that upper left-hand corner, and then just some of the yellow iridescent bubbles. So that is card number 2. Now moving on to card number 3. So once again, I have a sketch from Operation Ride Home, and this is number 169. The paper this time is from the Birthday Bash collection, and all of my papers are from Queen & Company. Oops, I take it back, that light blue polka dot paper is from their Delightful Dots collection. I love this background paper with all of the stars. It was like it was designed to go with this space kit. So cute. So I just added a little stitch scallop border on the bottom of the card, and then this circle, I just cut the side off just like it is in the sketch. And you can see there's a little hole cut out of the background. Well, I will be using that piece later. It's just something that I do to save on cardstock, especially if I'm short on a certain color. So there's that little scalloped oval. And then I'm going to add my little sentiment. This is "You are out of this world." So I'm just stamping that using some black ink. And then I'll add here that little oval onto the scallop oval. And then decide where the placement will be. And again, I'm just going to pop that up with a little bit of foam dimensional tape. So now I can go ahead and start assembling my little shaker. So this one just has the little circle for the planet. And then I'm going to fill it with some of the green pops, and then also some of these little blue stars. And these are the jewels. So let's go ahead and put my adhesive on the back of that die cut. Hold that in place with my acrylic block again. And I did leave it there longer than that half second. I do stop my camera. And then I'm using some more of those foundation dies that have the little stars, and I just cut 3 of those out of the yellow pattern paper. Just put a couple of them above the planet and then one off to the side. Just want to make sure that they all stay adhered down, so I'm just adding a little bit more glue. And then I'm just going to add some of the iridescent bubbles, just putting 1 in each of the stars. And then I love to add little banners to the top of my cards, especially in these little corners. And I felt like this one needed 2. So I just have some of the blue cardstock and then that yellow pattern paper, which is the same as the stars. And I just cut the yellow one slightly smaller than the blue. And this is the same die that I used for the sentiment on a previous card. Then I thought I was finished and then changed my mind and decided to add some little Nuvo glitter drops as little stars around the planet. So that is card number 3. So now moving on to card number 4. So this is Reverse Confetti Sketch number 42. So I've also switched papers. So now I'm using the Magical Characters collection. There are some really nice and vibrant colors in this paper collection. So once again, I use some more of the foundation dies. You're going to find that I do that quite often now because they're actually pretty awesome. So I used it for this diagonal piece, and then I wanted to layer that a little, and I probably could have done that before I adhered it onto the card, but instead I just cut some real thin black pieces to put above and below that little diagonal piece. And I just adhered that with some score tape since my ATG is just a little too wide for those little pieces. And then I'm just layering all of this in just plain black cardstock. It really adds some nice contrast. So again, I'm using some of this silver pearlescent paper. Cut that out using one of the foundation dies. I love the stitching on all of those dies. It adds a nice detail. And then this one's going to have the little moon. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment. And this is "You are my moon and stars." So for this part, I am just cutting my own little banner. Wanted to make sure it was the right size. I'm going to layer that again with some black cardstock. And then I just trim the little fishtails by hand. So now I'll go ahead and build that little shaker moon. So I adhere the foam piece down first. And then I decided to put some of the yellow cardstock on the inside as well. So I glue that in place. And now I'm just putting in some of the little orange, these might be the yellow diamonds. Put down the acetate cover and then adhere the little die cut moon down. Hold that in place while I attach my sentiment. So again, I'll just pop that up with some more of the foam dimensional tape. And then I'm going to add some embellishments, and these are their brand new Star Bling. So this is the yellow color, and these are fun because half of them have sort of a frosted look and then the other half are glossy. And then I liked the look of the little double banners on the last card, so I decided to do it again. And then that little black piece is actually some more of this self-adhesive glitter foam. So it cuts really nicely with the die, so that's fun. You can even see a little bit of the stitching detail on there. So that is card number 4. So now moving on to card number 5. I'm going to do something just a little different from my background. So I have some watercolor paper and then some black Brusho watercolor powder. So I just spritz the paper with some water and then I'm sprinkling all of that with this Brusho powder. And my little bottle of Brusho, I have a hole kind of punched in the top, and so I can just sprinkle a little bit out because this stuff is super messy. But the black is my favorite, so it has all these different colors mixed in there, these little granules, and if you don't blend it all together, you're still gonna see some of those colors. So I just kind of spritz it, put a little bit of powder, I'll dab off a little bit of the water, and then maybe I'll add a little more water, spritz again with, sprinkle it with the Brusho until I get the look that I want. So there it is, all nice and dry. And to me, the black always looks like outer space with all the stars of the galaxy. So it's definitely my favorite color to use. Now, because I did use watercolor paper, it tends to kind of curl, the paper curls up a little bit. So I want to make sure that it lays nice and flat on my card. So I'm just adhering all of it using some score tape. So I just covered the whole back with score tape. That way it'll stay nice and flat. And I layered all that just again in some plain black cardstock. And then I'll still use a lot of adhesive on this card front before I put it onto my card base. So now I'm going to build my little space scene. So I have the planet and then the little spaceship. And then I'm going to do my sentiment. So I'm using this larger one. It's out of the whole galaxy, you are my favorite. So I'm just going to cut that onto a little banner. And I'll layer that with some black cardstock. And that's just going to adhere in that upper right hand corner of the card. So now I'm going to put together my shakers. So I have this little orange planet. And the paper from this one is the Delightful Dots. So I used the orange. And so I want to fill in the inside of the planet just so I don't have a see-through planet, I guess. So I'm just putting those two little pieces on the inside before I'll add my little fillers. And then I'll do the same thing with the little spaceship. And for that one, I used that silver pearlescent paper, and I had intended on putting the pieces on the inside as well, but then I think I just forgot, but I did add the little orange paper for the little flame. So now I have my assortment of different toppings. So I'm using some of the pops and the pearlies for the planet, and then some more of the pearlies, and then those little star jewels for the little spaceship. I'll go ahead and adhere that acetate. And just a little tip whenever you're applying your acetate, start on one end and then just slowly lay it out over the foam. That way you don't have any little ripples in it. It's not ever a good idea to go straight down, unless you're really good at lining it up, I guess. And I'm not, so I always do it with one end leading up toward the other end. So now I'll go ahead and add that foam dimensional tape to the sentiment. Add that in the upper corner. And then just one final little touch, I'm going to add these brand new little petite posies. So I'm going to have them look like little stars. Now they are self-adhesive, but since they're going to be going on to all of this watercolor, the Brusho, I want to make sure they're not going to pop off. So I did use some extra liquid adhesive first, and now I'm just putting all of those on those little spots. So that is card number 5. So now moving on to card number 6. So this is Sweet Sunday sketch number 273. The papers are from the Magical Characters collection. And I wanted to show how easy it is to use the kits without making the shakers. So the kits only come with so many foam and acetate covers, although there are refill packages that you can order if you do want to continue to use these kits. But the other option is to use the included dies without the shakers. So they still make super cute cards, and it's really easy to use. So I'm just putting together my card. This one has a lot of different elements on the sketch, which is always a lot of fun. So there are all the little pieces for my little spaceship and for the moon, and then the star is just the inside piece from that shooting star. So first I'm going to go ahead and attach the moon. So I like to glue the inside in first, and then I'll go ahead and put that little outside frame next. But I like to lay them out first so that way I know exactly where the placement will be. So last I'm going to do the little spaceship, and since this one has a lot of little tiny pieces, I did glue the frame down first because I think it would have been hard to try to glue all the inside pieces. So the little spaceship is just some white pearlescent paper, and then I added a little bit of silver, and then some of the red pattern paper, and then some orange for the flame. So I'm just gonna add all of those pieces inside, just using some liquid adhesive and just piecing it together like a little puzzle. So super cute, very easy, and you can customize it however you want with different pattern papers or designs. So now I'm just going to use one of the little stitch banner dies for my sentiment, and this is Shoot for the Moon. And so it's a little longer than I want it to be, so I'm just going to cut off the end, and then I'll mat it with some of the black cardstock, adhere that in place. I just thought that one worked perfectly with the little spaceship heading up to the moon. And then I'll just add some of the yellow iridescent bubbles kind of in the star and around the moon. So that is card number 6. So now here's just a quick recap of the 6 cards I made using Queen & Company's Space Shaped Shaker Kit. I'm telling you, that's really hard to say all together. So it's super cute kit. I had so much fun with it. I love the sentiments and I love the versatility of this kit. So I will provide links in the description box to all of the products that I used in this video, all the different paper pads and toppings and bling. And next I will be working on the new Princess Shaped Shaker Kit. So that'll be a lot of fun. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.